So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
I'm trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.
I blame it on industry. I blame it on my own hypocrisy. Miseducation and politicians. No one's willing to step up and speak.
Hello everyone and welcome to the P.A.C.E radio show. We are live and we are coming to you from lifestyleradio.ca. I'm your host, Al Graham. In the past, we have had some great Canadian cannabis advocates on our program. I know that will continue. For this, I have to say thank you to our joint hosts who find these people from all across Canada to keep you informed as to what's happening here in our country. Today, my joint host, who is a lady who is active on social media and at home in her small Northern Ontario town, and that's Kim Cooper. And I'd just like to see if, Kim, are you there?
I'm here, Al. How are we all doing tonight?
Good. I'm not doing too bad, but I'm having a bit of a computer problem, so that's why I'm on the phone tonight. But we're still live, and we're still going to get the show done no matter what, right?
The show must go on.
That's right. The show must go on. Okay, in a quick little news item here before I introduce our guest. I'm not sure if you've seen this or not, Kim, on the news. Princess Margaret Cancer Foundation has removed a house from their winner's pool.
Yeah, I read that actually last night. I was up late and I caught that last night. Ridiculous, utterly ridiculous. This all comes down to that poor man and his house, that he is a licensed grower. And this came up in the media a few months back in the summertime of last year, I believe, where now they've built a school near his home. And the grow-op was pre-existing to the school, and now there's all kinds of challenges regarding the odor that is going on and the fragrance that is coming off of this house. And now Princess Margaret has decided to jump on the bandwagon and deemed it an inappropriate odor.
Now, from my understanding, that they listed the address or where the house is. They comment about the property backs onto the property of the person with the legal grow license. So basically, it sounds to me as if they've pretty well outed the location of where this guy has his legal spot,
yeah.
Which is, basically that's medical information that is private.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not the first time that it's happened to this guy. It happened previously when the school board went against him there, and they basically outed where his location was then. Now they've gone ahead and done it again. I'm surprised, I'm shocked by an agency such as Princess Margaret that's supposed to represent cancer and cancer patients, and I find it shocking that this kind of stigma would be perpetuated by such an organization as them, whose majority of their patients are cannabis consumers in search of a cure and in search of relief. So, I mean, for them to do this is just thoroughly disgusting, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I agree. You see the Arthritis Society is getting behind research and stuff for cannabis, and it'd be nice to see, the cancer end here, be involved in the same way. This is just, there's ways that this could have been dealt with without splashing this guy's location all over the news and making a big scene of it, so.
Absolutely. The guy's privacy is infringed upon, and you're perpetuating the stigma. I mean,
yeah.
Come on.
Oh, big time. No doubt about that. So, well, talking about stink, all right, well, Kim, you have brought us a guest who's been raising this stink about cannabis for many years, and correct?
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
Okay, now I'm gonna do my best here to get his name right, but if I have to, I'll go to the short versions. But at this time,
go ahead.
Okay, at this time, I'd like to welcome John Vergados of Skunk magazine to the P.A.C.E radio show. John, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thanks for having me, guys, again, and congratulations on your new network here.
Hey, well, thank you very much. I hope this time I didn't trip over your name so bad.
No, you did better, much better.
Good. Yes, that unfortunately, it just happens. So, okay, well, John, thanks for coming back on the show again and talking to our listeners here on the Lifestyle Radio. .ca, and I'm sure Kim will have plenty of questions for you, and I look forward to jumping in along the way.
Sure.
Okay, over to you, Kim.
Thanks very much, Al. Great intro as usual, as every week. Hi, John. How are you tonight, hon?
Pretty good. It's got mild in Montreal tonight, so it's much better than it was yesterday. So.
Yeah, that's great. And I assume your lovely lady Julie fitting in with you tonight as well.
Yeah, she's floating about somewhere. I don't know where she went. I don't know. This is my third interview today, so.
You've been hitting the interview stream, have you? I understand. And we're going to try and get right away. Yeah, we'll try and get to that right away and then find out why you're being interviewed so much lately. In case any of our listeners are unaware, I guess you'd have to be living under a rock to be unaware, but still, there might be some people out there that aren't aware of what the situation is. John Vergados, editor-in-chief of Skunk magazine, a long-time cannabis activist, women's rights activist as well. Always kind of on the right side of things as far as I can see in a moral situation. And now with the promise of legalization and things with Trudeau, everybody thought the tides were turning, and lo and behold, Mr. Vergados, you got arrested.
Yeah, I got arrested. It's a bit. The raid happened a couple of years ago, about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah, that's the issue, right? The incident is a couple of years old, but the arrest just occurred. Is that right?
Yeah, but I mean, it's a bit more than that. I was living in California over a year ago, thinking that I was going to make a new life, and they had not arrested me at the time. Then I had to come here and surrender, and at that time I was arrested, and then they suspended the charges, and now they brought them back about a month after I believe the new government was in power. So it's not that I've been arrested, is rearrested. It's more the arrest happened, like I said, over a year ago, and they were just on the fence whether they would go ahead with the charges. They had suspended them, and now they're proceeding with it.
So they were suspended. So you're in effect you're rearrested. They're reinstituting charges that were found, to be dismissed, or they're not going to go ahead, and you're off the hook. It's all finished. And now somebody turned around and said, "Nope, you know what? We changed our mind."
Yeah, I think a lot of it is I don't even know if they know how to handle things now in this new landscape. To tell you the truth, I haven't really spoken much with the prosecution. I have a date coming up now in March. March 11th would be my second court date, although they're still at the test stage. So it's not the formal trial hasn't begun yet. Part of me hopes it goes away, but everything that I've seen recently from government, from prosecution, from law enforcement, suggests to me that it's not going to be that easy. So I'm prepared to fight like I always have been. I'm counting on community support as much as I can. I mean, it's an expensive trial, but nonetheless, I mean, even if we fall short of our fundraising goals, we're still committed to fight. I've got generous counsel, who Paul Lewin, who is basically both very patient with the funds coming in and also giving me a very, very good rate. He's also part of the Normal Board of Canada. And I trust Paul, and basically it was very important to me that I got a lawyer, not so much the most famous criminal attorney out there, because I don't think I'm a criminal, but more somebody who had the same outlook as I did on these charges, and that's why Paul to me was the obvious choice.
Yeah, and you've worked closely with him in the past through Normal and through your advocacy through Normal. That's actually where we first met. I was volunteering for Normal at the time. I've known you since then. So I know you're very tight with the Normal group in Canada. So you have worked closely with Paul on several different events in the past.
Yeah, I'm close with Paul. I mean, he's a brilliant lawyer as well as a very compassionate man. He stands for the right things. And I've been on the Normal board for the last couple of years as a board member at large. partially because I was one of the few, because of Skunk going throughout North America, so I was sort of like an ambassador for NORML, or between the two groups, between the two countries. But ironically now I can't go there, so board member at large means something different right now, I guess. But yeah, I've been working with NORML. I do believe we one thing, it differs, you know. When you come up with a national group like this, you're obviously going to have different mindsets, different philosophies, different things that you will accept, say, from a new schema, or basically what you would consider ideal. But at the same time, we have fundamental beliefs that nobody should be in prison for cannabis, and every single one of the board members, as well as any volunteer that has any say in things, believes that the home grow should be protected. You know, we won't be willing to settle for anything that doesn't have that, at least, at the minimum.
That's good. That's good, because it's a necessity, really, for patients. It's a necessity. It has to be taken in consideration. Now, going on to consider NORML and their contribution. Recently, Craig Jones released a letter that he had sent off to the Prime Minister's office regarding his lack of movement, so to speak, on the issues at hand. How did you feel about that article?
Well, no, I fully support Craig. I mean, basically, we saw it before it became public, and we stood behind him 100%. I think there's been a lag out there on the government's part, and now the response has been to blame it on other forces or whatever. I mean, the UN treaty has been cited as something that makes us have to go slower, but it's not like the UN treaty hasn't been around for decades. You did not know that while campaigning. And legalization was a very, very, something that I believe got him into power in the end, because it made him seem like a progressive. But, the reality has been so far that we haven't seen it. I'm still hopeful, but, I know there's change coming for sure. We are going to see a legal world in the future here in Canada, except, that all indications point that it's going to be reserved for a select few. And that's not what we signed up for. It's unfortunate that people that have fought for so long to actually get people, the mainstream included, believing that this is not only a medicine, but, not only a civil rights issue, I believe, or a matter of freedom, but it's a medicine that has helped so many people, and we're finally there, and it's too bad that these people are going to be excluded from the system. That's what I perceive to be the goal of this government, because they're being edged on by a whole bunch of vested interests in the forms of licensed producers who have invested a lot of money and want it all. I don't see any other industry where that they want manufacturing, wholesale, and retail. Even in liquor, it comes from another party, and then it goes through channels, and it's taxed, and then it's retailed, and it's either for the benefit of the store, the corner store doing it, or the government in the form of licensed liquor boards and whatever. But these LPs are a little too hungry, in my opinion, because they want it all. They want to control
Absolutely.
Here, and that's not acceptable. I hope we can find enough momentum to make a united presence and show them that we're not going to accept this, and hope that it has enough influence, But, what's been happening to the cannabis movement lately in Canada is a bit fragmented, and that's what happens when legalization comes about, and basically there's a prospect of money and power. It brings up the ugly side, especially because I believe the cannabis community at this point right here in Canada is a little bit panicked. They don't know what's going to happen. They don't know which way to go. And for that reason, they don't know who to back. Do we back this new system? Do we fight it? So it's creating a lot of friction, I believe.
Oh yeah, for sure. A lot of friction, as you said, in the cannabis community right now. We're coming together, I think, as one with one goal, and people that are outside of that goal are falling away and not doing so gracefully. And that's an issue right now, but we'll get over that as we come together as one with one goal in mind, as you said, and that's freedom for this plant for all. No one should be restricted, absolutely no one. And no one owns a monopoly on Mother Nature, and they never should. That should be a given to all, once and for all, for sure. So, but I think it makes us stronger in the end. And as one people. Now, going back to your seed situation, so you were charged originally with selling seeds, is that correct?
No, I was charged with importation of seeds, possession. possession with intent to traffic, and conspiracy.
Importation. Okay. Sorry about that, John. I've had a rough week.
I wish it was like this. But unfortunately.
Importation. Okay. And now your charges were reinstituted about 1 month after Trudeau was elected into power, right?
I was in Jamaica, going with Julie for a much needed mistake. Mistake. It turned out maybe in some ways to be a mistake, but a much needed vacation after like 2 years of going nonstop, trying to revitalize and resuscitate Skunk from the challenges we've been, going through the last couple of years. So as soon as I touched down the plane, I got a call from Paul, and I thought it was as soon as my service came on. When you get the new whatever country you're in, wherever you're roaming. And I thought it was like normal business or something because we had a meeting upcoming. And he says, well, I just got a call from the police. They're bringing the charges back. So when are you coming back? You have to go back and get processed again. And this was, like I said, as soon as I touched down. So I was there for like 12 days. And the first half I was in a deep funk, But I snapped out of it and came back and we're committed to fight. I know. I hope it's not a very tough fight, but we're prepared for the long haul. I'm not going to go down without at least telling my story, which is what it's all about in the end, anyway.
Absolutely. It's preposterous that seed sales or seed importation or anything that's got to do with seeds could be anything to do with the criminal code in this day and age, especially with the current legal situation and the current prime minister that we have in this country and the promises that he's made, which I'm going to be going over with you shortly after the break. We'll probably pick it up there. Your dilemma goes on from there, and we're going to get more details with John once we come back from the break.
Sure, we sure will. And I'll have a question for him when we get back from break. I've got something that's sort of bothering me in the back of my mind here, and I haven't heard the answer yet. So
the origin of my name, is that it?
No. I'm gonna mess that up all night long, but I'll try my best. So okay. So tonight our bumpers feature the music of the Killing Time Band with their song "Sheeple." When we return, Kim and I will continue our talk with our guest John Vergados. Let's call him Johnny V. of Skunk Magazine. This is the P.A.C.E Radio Show on lifestyleradio.ca. Skunk Magazine.
You're only crazy. You're only crazy if you listen.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, we feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled, or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CMCP Society, or search Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners.
This is Al Graham of the P.A.C.E Radio Show. Are you keeping pace, as in keeping people advocating cannabis education? If you're not, and you're a cannabis consumer, then why not? Others are working hard every day to help educate people about cannabis so you can enjoy your daily 420. Get involved and speak out. Be loud and proud so that you can keep pace. Tune into the P.A.C.E Radio Show every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear about people advocating cannabis education here on lifestyleradio.ca.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At BMA Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. BMA Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At BMA Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. BMA Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
BMA offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to BMA Hydroponics and prove it.
You're only crazy. You're only crazy if you listen.
Hello and welcome back. You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Show here at lifestyleradio.ca, and we can also be found at Spreaker and on Mixcloud. Don't forget to tune into this Friday night for Al, Marcel, and the rest of the Friday Night 420 crew here at Lifestyle Radio. Tune in every Friday at 7 p.m. for 2 hours of informative and sometimes crazy talk, as well as some great music and guests. This week, the guest is Ross Middleton of BMA Hydroponics, who is a sponsor of our program right here at the P.A.C.E Radio Show. And I was told that him and the gang will be doing a little grow show, so that would be great for you to have, to hear directly from them. And this all happens Friday night at 7 p.m. with the with the 420 radio show here at lifestyleradio.ca. Today on the P.A.C.E Radio Show, I am joined by our guest, John Vergados of Skunk Magazine, and my joint host all the way from snowy Northern Ontario, Kim Cooper. Kim and John, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yep, I'm back.
Good,
Enjoyed
good.
my break.
Okay, my quick question to John, before I hand you back over to Kim, is, okay, we're hearing about you being, these seed charges are coming back and all, but why? Why are they bringing them back? Have they said?
No, I mean, according to them, it's a crime, right? It's against criminal code, and that's where it belongs. But I think they themselves don't really know what's going on. They don't have any clear directives from government. As far as they're concerned, it's still, what they're supposed to enforce, and until they get directives, in my wildest dreams, I hope, when Trudeau comes out and says, hey, we're legal now, then they say, okay, well, we drop the charges. But they're still proceeding. I still have the legal bill is still mounting. I still can't go to the U.S. So, I mean, might not mean much to them, but it does to me.
Oh, for sure. And trying to run your business and the whole bit, it just seemed odd that the charges were from before and they sort of stayed them and then they brought them back. I don't know whether they got more information or maybe they decided they just got the case. Well, I don't know, but
I'm going to ask a question that ties right into that. On top of that, was there a change in personnel, say, anywhere along the lines that is connected with your case?
Yeah,
was there a new DA?
This is the third prosecutor. Initially, it was some person fresh out of law school. They replaced him with somebody else who was a little bit more senior. And they left for another position, and now it was taken over by this other lady. I don't remember her name, but she's she's one of their top guns kind of thing here locally. But,
okay. So a previous prosecutor that was experienced saw that fit to stay this, and now somebody new in personnel has come in and decided to review that and say, no, I disagree, and reinstituted it. That's where we're at.
And there's also, I do have a co-accused as well who's being tried sort of the same, but separately as well. And, different court dates. That's my partner, who is charged right away, along with his wife, who his wife had no clue, whatever. She was just thrown into the mix just as a pressure tactic, And
like they do, yeah.
And then basically, sorry, I forgot what I was trying to say, but it's not. What was the question, Kim?
We were talking about a new DA is in the mix, and that's basically why it's reinstituted. You were saying how it's affected all of your lives.
Yeah, but I don't really know if it's her decision or if it's coming from higher up, or if it's, like I said, a little bit of confusion, or a lot of confusion, about what the new government intends to do, what they meant with their campaign promises, and what we're seeing right now. I mean, we're still seeing just as many, if not more, arrests, more raids on dispensaries, more arrests on grows, and they don't seem to be stopping. I mean, judges are throwing them out, which is good, but like I said, it's not just being, going to jail is one thing, and it sucks. Nobody wants to do so. But just being arrested is a dilemma or a hardship in itself. There's a lot of things you can't do. Your life sort of goes in limbo. If I had my choice, I wouldn't be here right now. I'd be in California, but I can't.
Well, absolutely. Had Trudeau initiated or instituted anything on any one of his campaign promises to date, then you probably would not be sitting in this boat right now. Let's go over some of that stuff that he said. We got September 30th, 2015. He said an elected Liberal government would begin to legalize and regulate marijuana right away. This would fix a failed system and remove the criminal element. And we go in the Globe and Mail. We will remove marijuana consumption and incidental possession from the criminal code and create stricter laws for those who provide to minors. This is all supposed to happen immediately. And then he gets into the throne speech. Well, we all heard throne speech, and marijuana was in there, as they like to call it. I prefer cannabis myself, but I have to use quotes here. So we all heard the throne speech. Cannabis policy was definitely in the throne speech. Then we move on to January the 5th of this year. And lo and behold, CBC News reports, task force is announced. And we're all talking now about the global treaties that are in the news and how this is going to be an uphill battle for our Prime Minister, and how people are just now learning about these global treaties that have been in effect for over several decades. And then National Post on February the 9th, I missed one, January the 8th, Bill Blair appointed to the head of the new task force. There's a big one. We all know who Bill Blair is. Chief of Police, former Chief of Police. Then February the 9th, we go on to the briefing book, whose agenda shows exactly and squarely where cannabis falls in the Liberal camp on things to do list, and it falls squarely on page 410 out of a 415-page book. This does not sound consistent with what he said to get elected.
No, and politicians do that often. It's too bad it's been such an about face, but I believe he's keeping at least one of them, the promise to restrict and punish those even harsher, because that's what they're setting up to do, and that's the only promise he's keeping. But it's a sad thing to say this, because I do believe in democracy and the will of the people. But the more they try to monopolize and wreck this system, they're basically reviving the black market. So everything they're saying about trying to protect people from criminality and keeping it away from children, the more restrictive they are, the healthier the black market's going to be. So it's kind of disingenuous at the same time by granting exclusive domain over this plant, which can grow everywhere in your backyard, wherever, to a select few. And I don't think it contains within it the plan for success. Because I try to be, on the one hand, idealistic, and I believe what should be, but I also am a pragmatist, and I know that if they do this, then it's not going to serve their purpose. They'll make their friends richer, but the higher purpose that they're trying to portray, that they're maintaining, that they hold, to keep it out of criminal hands and away from children, that's not what's going to happen, and that's not what they even care about. It's just a way to sell it to the mainstream.
Well, exactly. That's. All you're doing is portraying the stigma by adding these cautions in. Let's face it, this stuff was in children's medicine until Prohibition began. It was in all cough syrup, almost all the over-the-counter medicines from babies, newborn babies, infants all the way up to grandmothers were using this in extracts, creams, lotions, tonics, and potions.
And mommy
up until the 1930s.
Had it too, you know, like every breastfed baby has had cannabinoid.
That's right. We produce our own naturally. We have an endocannabinoid system. I mean, there's a reason that we have this system, and there's a plant on the planet that feeds that system. I mean, you don't have to be a PhD to figure out there's a connection there.
But you do have to be a PhD to come out with studies that actually try to prove that it's not. And that's what they've been doing.
Well, that's just it. Every study that is found out the benefits of cannabis out there has been pioneered and paid for by those trying to dispute it. And those trying to say, okay, here, you find us something wrong. You find us something detrimental about this plant. And they're still unable to do so. So all they have left is propaganda. And, we had it on about the beginning of our show on our news bit there with Al about the Princess Margaret Hospital Foundation lottery withdrawing that house. Again, it's perpetuating the propaganda. And it's utterly ridiculous.
No, I agree. I mean, that's their weapon, right? That's what they have to use. They have to use lies because nothing else would work. Their whole argument depends on lies. That's, that and the power that they...
Yeah, absolutely. Have you seen any of the other... there's been a couple of petitions circulating around on social media. Have you seen any of those?
Yeah, I've seen them, and I think it's a very good idea. I just hope more people participate. Something I've been thinking about, especially because of the recent fragmentation of our movement in some ways, for a couple of reasons, is that the need for us to at least form some kind of block that we can present towards government. And this petition does that, essentially. But I would like to see some sort of concerted statement, effort presented to government to stop the arrests, to get rid of any cannabis trial that's going on. And it would come, I don't want NORML to just present it. I want NORML and every other reform group in land to present it. And I know there's certain things that we don't agree on, but at the same time, we all fundamentally believe that the plant should be legal. People shouldn't be going for jail for it, and people shouldn't be getting arrested right now. These are things we can believe on, and I think it would be beneficial if we all could start sort of a groundswell of support for something like this, because it would look more impressive coming from 100 different groups, including people that you might not traditionally associate with our movement, but like medical associations, certain law enforcement, like LEAP. If it came from 100 groups, it would be more effective than if it came from just one or scattered from all over the place.
Absolutely. Strength in numbers, always. And I mean, after all, that's what it's all about, is the core beliefs, right? I mean, all of the doodads and whatnots that every individual feels that they're entitled to or not, I mean, that's all icing on the cake. If the standard is there on the core beliefs, then we'll all be better off and be able to build from there. And we can talk about that then. But let's get the ball rolling on the core beliefs is a very good idea. So are you proposing that people basically use NORML's platform or format in Craig Jones's letter, and just do a copy and paste, or to write their own and to join in NORML and
Well, we have a meeting tomorrow, like NORML meets every couple of weeks via conference call, and we have a meeting that is going to discuss just that. So I don't know exactly what would be the preferred format, but like I said, I'd like it to be on behalf of NORML and every other group, provided they agree with the message that we're sending, which I think is something that we can agree on. Now, whether it comes from NORML or, like I said, for me, collectives, cooperatives, communities work much better than individuals, and for certain things. And I think this is one of the instances. NORML doesn't really care about who takes credit for things, and that's why I'm drawn to them. It's more about people trying to make for a better Canada, specifically as it regards to cannabis. And there's nobody there. It's not a commercial group. It's a non-profit. We struggle pretty much just to exist. And some people that are on the board are the cannons, the monsters of cannabis reform, like John Conroy, Paul, Kirk Tussaw, Alan Young. These are your board members. I mean, they're people that you can stand behind and know that basically that it's not for any other reason that they want a better Canada. And that's why I think NORML is the ideal vehicle, but it doesn't have to be the only one. As long as everybody agrees with the message, we can flip coins about whose logo goes first.
Absolutely, 100%. I mean, and that's what it comes down to again, it's about the message, and we should all be able to cooperate on that. Every group should be able to cooperate on that. I enjoyed my time with NORML while I was there. I learned a lot from the organization. They were great. And I enjoyed my time very much while I was there.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
All right, Kim, we still got a couple minutes left until we go to a break. As far as just before we go to the break there, John, did you just briefly mention where people can get some information on NORML?
On NORML, yeah, it's normalcanada.ca. Normal.ca, I believe, works. They both route to the same place. They have a Facebook page that is very active. I think even more active than the website, because in this day and age, your social media is where people go. So I think the best place to go is probably Facebook. Just punch in NORML Canada and you'll get it. They do daily posts, and that's also where you can message the people that are responsible for membership or donations or any ways, or if you need any info, that's where you'll get your question answered. So there's some good people on the board.
Oh, for sure. The ones that you named are very, I'd say, very, very well known people in the cannabis community. A lot of them have been, or all of them, have been involved in the fight. As you know, John's has gone right to the Supreme Court of Canada on more than one occasion, and Paul Lewin, he's had a case there with Matt that almost got heard by the Supreme Court of Canada. And from my understanding, Paul had written some stuff in the past to give information to other people how to deal with some of the cases that was posted there.
Yeah, and then there's Professor Alan Young as well, and he's just a spectacular speaker and so knowledgeable.
And Kirk Tusaw, don't forget the victory there.
Yeah,
absolutely. Oh, who can forget Kirk Tusaw? That's a given. He was at the top of the list for me. That representation that he did at the Supreme Court of Canada will live with me forever and still gives me chills. I can listen to them and speak all day.
Yeah, he schooled them. And there's Fagan also in Calgary, who's been almost single-fightedly fighting, because that's one of the worst places to be as far as a cannabis activist is in Canada. And he's on that board too. And he's a selfless individual who's done a lot for our cause, all for free. All
right, it's break time. Tonight our bumper music features the Killing Time Band with the song Sheeple. Then when we return, Kim and I will continue this conversation with John Vergados of Skunk Magazine. You're listening to the P.A.C.E Radio Show here on lifestyleradio.ca.
Excuse me, Prime Minister, this why you so sinister. You can't put a muzzle on this lyrical literature. All over the planet, we done got a man of panic. You thinking we was soft and taking our freedom for granted. And granted, we ain't always against.
Growing your own vegetables, flowers, or even medicinal plants can be a challenge without the right equipment and proper know-how. At B.A.C.E Hydroponics, not only are they your urban horticultural experts and suppliers, but their staff holds the customer's needs paramount to making a sale. Family-owned with decades of experience and knowledge, they offer free advice in person, by phone, or email. B.A.C.E Hydroponics wants to ensure you have the advice you need, which is why you'll find tips and tricks on different ways to grow, like wick, ebb and flow, drip, or aeroponic system, as well as other helpful links at bmahydroponics.com. If you can't find what you're looking for, just let them know, and they'll do everything they can to get what you're looking for. At B.A.C.E Hydroponics, each staff member also possesses a federal exemptee MMAR license, making their strong suit empathy, experience, and dedication to their customers. Because when you know how to grow, you'll have results that make you proud. B.A.C.E Hydroponics in Belleville, Ontario. Visit bmahydroponics.com.
B.A.C.E offers cannabinoid testing, so if you want to prove you've got good medicine, head to B.A.C.E Hydroponics and prove it.
The following is a public service announcement from the Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners Society. The Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners Society is a non-profit organization dedicated to ensuring improved access to therapeutic cannabis and cannabis byproducts in Canada. With a federal government that has committed to legalizing cannabis, We feel it is our duty to ensure that the medicinal use of cannabis doesn't get lost in the process and that there are clear distinctions made between the medicinal and recreational use of cannabis. It is our mission to ensure that government regulation doesn't get in the way of a sick, disabled or terminally ill person's right to use or produce this amazing natural health product. If you would like to get involved, you can contact us on the internet www.canadiantherapeuticCannabisPartners.com, on Facebook, CMCP Society, or search Canadian Medical Cannabis Partners.
Tune into the P.A.C.E radio show and catch Kim Cooper, Debbie Stoll-Skiffin, or Alison Murden, along with myself, Al Graham, as we talk to Canadian and international cannabis advocates who are working hard to help patients and to end cannabis prohibition. Catch us live every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, here at lifestyleradio.ca.
Turning the sheep with a back away from the herd, cause you ain't thinking for yourself yet, that's just absurd.
Welcome back, and thanks for tuning in to the P.A.C.E radio show. We are being broadcasted live, yes, that's right, live, we're not Memorex, on lifestyleradio.ca. Plus you can find us on YouTube as well as on Spreaker. Tonight our bumper music featured the Burlington, Ontario band known as the Killing Time Band. The song, as I mentioned, was Sheeple. And if you've never heard of them, then I suggest that you look them up on YouTube, as I did. Or if you'd like to book maybe them for a little concert at your house or at a party, then I suggest that you go to killingtimeband.com, and you'll have a choice between getting just a duet and all the way up to a 9-piece band. So you got a whole choice there. It doesn't matter how you want them to come, they will come. Tonight on the P.A.C.E radio show, I'm joined by our guest, John Vergados of Skunk magazine, and my joint host, Kim Cooper. Kim, are you there?
I'm back, Al, back with a smile.
Yeah, good. Must have had a good bong hit over break time then.
Did I leave my mic on again?
Oh, I'm going to let you know, too, and listeners know that, as I've said before, my mother does listen to this show, and at 84 years of age, she's still listening, and she's still enjoying, so.
Well, you should be proud, Mama.
Well, yeah. Hi again this week. Hi again this week, Mom. How's it going?
I always get my high mom moment in there, so.
Absolutely.
All right, Kim, over to you. You can ask some questions, and then we've got another, 18 minutes to go.
Oh, I think I got no problem killing that time at all. And then some with Mr. Johnny V.
Just play like
Mr. Johnny. Right on. Okay, so when we went off on the break, we were talking about Trudeau, we were talking about your charges and all kinds of stuff. Just want to recap. When do you find out more info on your charges?
Well, I think I have to meet with Paul next week, and I don't think we'll get much info then, but after the first court date, I believe, and we still haven't spoken really officially with the prosecutor, so we, except for just dates. But, I think more intent will be the next one. I think part of me says delay this as much as we can, to see what's coming up, to see when that official legalization day comes, and maybe it'll go away, but I don't control the time, and the longer it goes, the more money it needs, and eventually you run out of that. So it becomes harder to fight. But, they have unlimited resources. We don't.
That's it. So you should find out something from the prosecutors pretty soon for when you're having a meeting with Paul next week. Hopefully we'll get some news from Paul next week, or you'll hear something from the prosecutors real soon. And when you do, we'll have to have you back on for a follow-up show, at least a partial show, to let us know what the heck is going on with this whole situation, and hopefully it will not come to be with any luck at all.
We'll have a party wherever Kim Cooper is when it happens. When it goes away. Northern Ontario, that's kind of scary, though. I don't know what that.
John, can you guys? John, if you're charged with these importing of cannabis seeds, what about other companies? I'm not saying arrest everybody, but I'm saying if others are doing it, and you see seed sales everywhere, wherever I go, I know I run into them in businesses. They just picking on certain people, or
Well, I mean, what kind of businesses do you frequent now? You know?
Yeah, well, it just as when I see them when I go to the businesses that I deal with P.A.C.E Radio, as well as you see them in magazines advertising.
Right. I mean, you see them on TV. I know what you're talking about, but at the same time, it's not like the law doesn't work like that. You know, just because they didn't catch that murderer kind of thing, according to them, doesn't mean that they won't go after you. At the same time, it's the luck of the draw.
Yeah.
It's they don't. I don't think there's a will out there. I don't even know when they came after us what they expected to find. Did they expect to find this massive thing? And after expending so much money and energy into it, we had it was 25 SWAT members, that conducted the raid with dogs, with this untold man hours, whatever it was. So it gets expensive for them, and they have to justify it somehow. So I don't know why. I mean, the why, I guess, is in the criminal code according to them, but the why that you're asking, I know I ask myself sometimes as well.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yes, yeah. It's it's odd, but that's the way they are. Because I saw importing is illegal, but every weekend I'm with a fella. We're educating people, handing out information, and yet he's also able to sell seeds at the same time, because we know here, as for growing, they don't consider it a plant until it's got roots on it, and obviously seeds don't have roots. But
but I mean, in the criminal code it says specifically cannabis seeds. We thought when whatever, I can't divulge much about activities. It is kind of stupid, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't fuck up your life, Well,
what about?
And it happens.
And one last question before I pass you back over to Kim. Is there an importer's license for that?
I don't know what they do. I mean, I remember when the LPs first started out, they could buy from the people in the old system, but I don't know. I mean, they're supposed to log every seed they pop. Where they get it from, I'm not sure. I know. I used to have clients, for example, in the we used to have a lot of seed companies advertise, and I knew a few of them were actively speaking to LPs and trying to figure out a legal way to have their genetics. But for example, Tweed a couple of months ago booked a deal with DNA Genetics to grow a certain amount of their strains exclusively. I don't know what kind of deal it was, but the deal is there for them to grow 2 to start, I believe, and then 6 eventually. Which means only Tweed will have those varieties available now, and they're growing in their facility, right?
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, really. It just, like you say, maybe it depends on who you are.
Well,
the big companies, eh?
Right, and then I think they're turning a blind eye.
The select few. So, all right, Kim, over to you.
Well, thank you very much, Sal. It was a good break. And John, your nice conversation there picks up right where I wanted to go next. And that was talking about LPs with you. They have a monopoly right now on the situation. And they have power. Some of the companies are banding together and buying each other out and becoming one large organization, Tweed for one. They've cut corners and broken the rules and all the way along, yet fighting to keep monopoly on the situation. I wanted to find out what your feelings are on LPs and how you think that how do you think things are going for LPs right now?
I still think there's a place for them. I'm not one person that says the plant belongs to any one particular person or entity. And tomorrow, if I'd love to go into Costco, although I don't, or Walmart, which I never do, and see on the shelves Tweed marijuana cigarettes. Right? I don't mind saying that. Somebody's got to produce large scale, and if you can compete with them in that in that milieu, then great, do it. At the same time, I want the microbrewery model, and if you're a smaller, more customized, exotic kind of grower, you have a market for yourself. And at the same time, I want basically people to be able to grow it on their own. Set a cap. It doesn't really matter. Put a special provision if you're medical, so you can grow more. People can grow up to 2 kilos of tobacco in Canada with no issues. And that's that'll kill you. But people can grow it. You can brew your own beer, and you can make your own wine. So why is cannabis treated so differently? Because there's so much money involved. And the LPs are getting loud now, and they know that it's a very favorable climate for them. And remember, they only have their shareholders to appeal to. As long as they satisfy patients. And I know they'll get it together. They're spending so much money, and in the end, cannabis has been grown for forever, and has had a beneficial effect. They're going to get it together because they have so much money to throw behind it. So eventually, they're going to be producing good medicine. That's not an issue with me. My issue with them right now is them trying to lobby the government to basically monopolize the market. And like a couple of things have struck me. One was an LP who wasn't even an LP yet. They're in the application process. Yet one of I think there was security officers, ex-law enforcement, ex-colleague of Bill Blair's, was loud in the mainstream media and saying, "We want dispensaries to close. We want this. I'm gonna lobby my ex-pal to do this, right?"
Yeah.
And, it didn't hit me at first, but these people don't even have a license. How can they be so confident that they're going to get it when there's so many in line or whatever, so many refusals? We had how many thousands of applications, yet 26 made it through. But yet these people, because he's an ex-colleague, he's so sure he's going to get it. So I mean, something about the selection process strikes me as a little bit off, especially when I know people that have gone through it and satisfied requirements and yet were refused. The other thing that struck me is that I was sitting here, I think it was on the weekend, or maybe late Friday night after we had our party, a skunk party, which was pretty cool. But I came back and I opened the computer and I saw Tweed signs deal with Snoop Dogg to represent them, And I thought to myself, here I am facing charges, you know what I mean? Why? Or why is it looking like this? Because government is listening to LPs that, they're telling them that we should shut down anybody that's not us. We should penalize them to the utmost capacity, because only we can provide quality, safety, non-criminality, and nothing, me, says all those things like Snoop Dogg. Right?
Yeah.
Like nothing says medical like Snoop Dogg.
Yeah. I mean, what is he even doing in our industry at all?
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong.
What does he bring?
If I was him, I guess I'd do it too. You see some stupid corporation willing to shill a whole bunch of bucks for your name. Meanwhile, you're just, I don't know. I doubt Snoop Dogg has ever grown anything, right? I mean, he might be a connoisseur, but I don't think he's like some sort of master grower, nor have special genetics that he's going to do it. It's just a marketing deal. But
that's right.
It's funny because these people are trying to legitimize their monopoly by saying they're the only ones that can provide quality and safety and all those things, all those catchwords. Yet here they are signing Snoop Dogg.
Yeah.
Right? What does that have to do with any of those things?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Quality and assurance is not what I see Snoop Dogg. Those are not the qualities that come to mind. That's not the immediate impression for me.
I just see him as an advertiser, and actually right now LPs aren't allowed to advertise.
No, they're not. I mean, they're not, but I guess there's ways around that.
Well, the celebrity can advertise, and therefore is advertising for the LP. And I think that's the strategy behind using celebrities. It's free advertising.
Well, I think they know something we don't, and recreational is going to come soon, and they know they have it all. That's what I think. Or
yeah.
That's what that signing is all about.
So, yeah, well, interesting. So you think it's going to arrive sooner rather than later?
Well, I don't know about timeline. I just think that it's poised to basically, for me, the Allard case is the only hope we got, because I don't expect it to come from politicians. And because, like what I was referring to, is that whether it comes in 2 years, in 6 months, or whatever, the government wants to give it to a select few. And the only hope we have is that the Allard case protects home growers, patients, and also their caregivers. That's the only way I see that we'll be able to have home growers. They're not, everything that the government is showing is that we're not going that route. From Bill Blair's an appointment, from the power that these LPs have all of a sudden, from the the focus on regulation and restriction versus access, shows me that it's only going to be, or they're setting out, hopefully, for them to just have it just amongst.
And it seems the only people who can ask for ID are the people who work at liquor stores, because that's all they're talking about putting them in is in liquor stores. But yet there's all kinds of businesses around the country that ask for ID that sell alcohol. And, if they can sell alcohol at these established places that provide entertainment, then they should be able to do the same thing at a place that provides cannabis.
Well, at first when you think of liquor stores, right, that's the last place you want cannabis to be sold at.
Yeah, correct.
But at the same time, I don't have, if it's recreational cannabis, that's fine, But as long as you have a different kind of facility for the medical user who doesn't, or as long as you have a different choice. I don't want it to be strictly the domain of liquor stores,
Mm-hmm.
What if I'm an alcoholic and I use cannabis to get off, to help?
Well, that's the issue, right? That's the issue right there. And they're not saying that there's a separate.
This issue, how little they know about cannabis. It just shows you when they come up with stuff like that, that they don't have a clue about what cannabis does and how it should be treated.
Right in their own rules and regs on the Government of Canada website, it says it's not advisable to mix cannabis with alcohol use. So then why would you sell it together?
Well, and imagine when the marketing for that comes, right? Like Tilray Thunderfuck, vodka shooter splasher, whatever, Anyway.
It's an oxymoron. It makes no sense on itself, on its face value.
But that's unfortunately what happens when you get the people that have the power, or the people that are the least educated on the issues that they have the power over. And it's not only cannabis.
No, this is very true. This is very, very true. Yeah, it's a complicated situation. I understand that, but it seems to me there's a lot of backpedaling going on these days on the situation as far as the Trudeau government is concerned. I'm concerned that it's not going to happen sooner rather than later. I think it's going to take an entire court challenge for every right that we're looking to assert on this situation. I think is going to come down to a short challenge, and all those court challenges are going to take a Supreme Court challenge, because they're all going to be challenged all the way up the line.
Well, I know, and I kind of think so, that it's going to be the courts that protect us, but I don't necessarily see that as a bad thing. I think that's because you can't trust politicians. They only basically promise what they think. They're after power, nothing else. I'm kind of disappointed. I was hopeful, and I guess I'm more disappointed in myself because I believed that I wanted to believe what they were saying was true and that would be a good system. But for me, it's almost that movie. What was that movie? The Usual Suspects, when they said the devil's biggest trick or whatever was to prove that he didn't exist or whatever. For me, it's like their biggest trick or their biggest talent skill was actually giving us legalization and everything. Like, you want it, you got it here, but this is what it's going to be.
I agree 100%. He had me hook, line, and sinker, and I haven't believed in any politician for years. I'm heading to my mid-50s here, and I haven't believed in any of them for years. And I believed in Trudeau, and I believed in everything he said, and I touted his flag and waved it in the air and said, "Yay, go Trudeau!" And I'm finding I'm eating my words now, and I'm more disappointed in me for believing it, I think, than I am in him for not following through.
Well, I think a lot of us just had the hope more than anything. It might have blinded us. I still, to some extent, have hope. Less than him, more in the course right now, that we will come up with something that is good for everybody. I don't know why people are referring to Colorado as some nightmare. That's where they should be looking at. I fear that, and not only that, but I think this whole thing where it's going is that LPs want manufacturing, wholesale, retail, and eventually export. I think what they're trying to build here is some system that they can, to be the model of the cannabis kind of restriction kind of rules, and be the export model too.
Yeah, world access.
And that's what they're trying to protect these financial interests, and that's not what none of us fought for that.
No,
that's right. We all fought for our right to be able to grow our own. So,
and we're going to keep fighting.
That's right, exactly. All right, John, we've come to the end here. And I just thought I'd give you a chance to see if you've got a website or somebody you'd like to promote or highlight as we wind down things.
Yeah, we're in our second week of our relaunch of skunkmagazine.com. We have a whole bunch of articles from our past with more coming up every week. We just finished our last issue, our Sex, Nugs, and Rock and Roll issue, which is very, I hope people pick it up because it's very cool. It shows how the relation to cannabis and sex and music, how it all goes together, and how it's beneficial in those areas as well. And it's done very tastefully, I might add, for any critics that might be out there. I'll call them P.A.C.E. and the Sunshine Band, who seem to be, I don't know. But yeah, pick it up because you'll like it. We have a whole bunch of activists or people that might be well known, lesser known in the cannabis community from all walks of life, coming up with some intimate details of what cannabis means to them in the bedroom, and we've got blacks and whites, and this offer was extended to everybody, gays, lesbians, transgender, whatever. We tried to touch from every age group. So we tried to come up with not a scientific article, but more of an anecdotal about how cannabis benefits your sex life as well. So pick it up. That's what we've got.
Awesome. It's important. It is important. Okay, Kim?
Yeah, my shout-out this week is going to Northern Ontario Hemp Fest 2016. It's happening this August. Mark your calendars for August the 17th, I believe. You can check that out on their Facebook page or online at northernontariohempfest.ca.
All right. Thank you very much. And it's just a reminder to let everybody know that I will be back next Wednesday with my joint host, Debbie Stoltz-Giffen, and her scheduled guest, Chris Enns of Farms Assist, as we continue to promote those who are fighting to bring an end to cannabis prohibition. You can find P.A.C.E. Radio Show on Facebook or on Twitter at P.A.C.E. Radio, and we can also be found on the web at pace-online.ca, or you can find us by searching for people advocating cannabis education. Thank yous go out to our sponsors, the friendly folks at BMA Hydroponics, and don't forget to tune in Friday night on the 420 radio show when BMA Hydroponics owner Ross Middleton will be appearing. I'd also like to thank Al Rapp of LifestyleRadio.ca. A big thank you to our guest, John Vergados of Skunk Magazine, plus to my joint host, Kim Cooper, plus a big thank you to you, our listeners, for tuning into the program. Thank you, and good night.
Good night.
Thanks for having me.
Good night.
So what are you doing?
Nothing.
Nothing? Why not?
Trying to get on this Lifestyle Radio website.
Sounds like a cool website.
Yeah, it's alright. Oh, wait, I might have it.
You might have it.
You're listening to Lifestyle Radio.
The opinions expressed during this show are those of the individual participants and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of their associated organizations or Lifestyle Radio.